Hello guys, in this video we will discuss how we can implement a generic repository for our DAO classes. So here I have a project and we have a basic CRUD operation set up here. So let me run it first. We got this particular layout here. So we have a master menu here. We have two tables, employee and department, and we have the list, this particular list, and we can do some edit operation here, or we can add new items. So let's suppose I can add new department at NYC, so I can do that. So this is a basic CRUD operation application, and let's discuss the code base what is happening here. So we have two controllers, employee and department controller. So let's first discuss employee controller. So here we have an index action, then a list action, add action, edit, and another edit with post and delete. So what is happening, like whenever we are hitting a employee controller, so this index action is got called and it basically rendered this particular view. So we have a view here. So here we basically render the center part of that particular code that we have seen so far. So here we have a table, then we have some set of grid helper which basically populated the grid. So this particular grid helper, what does it do is basically it's called this list action, and this will return the data from the database. So we have employee service here which has a get all method, then it is dependent on a DAO which is employee DAO, and this particular DAO have method get all, and this particular DAO is basically doing the DB call. So the similarly for this particular our department controller, we have department service and it has methods and it has a department DAO, and DAO has the logic to do the DB operation. So this is how basically a general setup of a CRUD operation or a DB operation basically happens in our projects. But here since we are doing the similar operation, like we are doing get all, get by ID, insert, update and delete, so we can move this particular logics in a common repository. So which is basically we are going to call it as a generic repository. So let me make a new branch here. So let me create a new branch, generic repository video. Okay, nice. So we got a checkout for this particular branch. So first of all we are looking on the data access layer, so collapse all those and add a simple class and call it as iGeneric repository. So basically it will be the interface, so iGeneric repository, and it will have those methods. So so let's suppose I copy the methods from here only and I can remove the body from there later. So this particular interface represent our generic repository, and it will have the method like get all and get by ID. Since we are making an interface, no body, no access modifier, all members are by default abstract and public, so we are making those changes here. So we are getting some methods. So we have these 5 methods here. One is get all to fetch all the record, another is get by ID to get a single record, then insert, update and delete. So if we look on this particular code, so far it is basically doing for employee, so we have to make it generic. So let's pass a T parameter which will be the type for which we are doing the operations. So we can change now employee to T. So we basically created a basic generic interface, and for here the parameter name is employee number, we can make it just ID, so it is more generic. Nice. Yeah, so we finally created a generic repository interface. It will have 5 methods, get all which will return the list of that particular table, or the type, and then we have get by id, which will find a single element with the primary key value, and then we have insert, update and delete method to insert, update and delete respectively. So let's create the implementation for this, and while doing those implementation we will make more changes to this particular code, and so let's go ahead. Yeah, so I am going to add a class and I will call it generic repository, and I will try to, yeah, this will be generic repository. Then I will implement this particular interface here. So let me implement it. So you can do this. Yeah, so now we have a generic repository implementation for this particular interface. So let's make the implementation nice. So we got this get all, get by get by id, insert, update and delete. Let me move it down. Nice. So this particular this particular class will be responsible for making the db calls, and that call will be in such a way like this particular class can be used to like employee table as well as department table without like just by passing a t parameter on the runtime. Okay, so first thing, if we want to do a get all, so like employee we are doing get all here. So let me copy this particular code only. So here in this particular repository, okay, I doing the get all. So here I am using Dapper. So to get the connection, I have already created a common DAO. This is abstract class. We are getting configuration here, and we have a public method which is open connection, which is basically creating a new SQL connection, and from here we are returning it as a IDB connection. Okay, so let me first extend it here. So if we want to extend a class and interface, we have to first apply the class then interfaces. Okay, so let me implement the constructors, that's all. And to make this to work, we just import Dapper, right? So here we just pass employee, we can do it t, so it will return the results for this particular t. Now on the basis of t, we want to change this particular table name. Okay, so first let's go and make a base type. Like for every entity which will represent a database table, we can create a base entity which will have some basic property that we can use here. So like since we are using this particular repository pattern without using entity framework, so we are doing raw SQL queries just using Dapper. So here in the entity, I have these classes which is mapping for the database tables. So let me create a base entity here. So I will create a class, name it base entity. Okay, and let me mark it as abstract, public abstract class base entity, right? And here we are going to create an property call as table name, right? So we can do get set table name, or we just use get. So any particular table or the entity which is implementing this, that needs to be supply the table name. So let me implement it here on the emp. So we will expand this with the base entity. So I will need to define that particular name, table name property, and I will just doing this. So emp is my table name. Okay, so come back to our repository. Now we have option to get this particular employee get replaced with the particular t type. So before doing that, we need an instance of that particular t type, then we can call the table name of on that. So let me create some static method here. Let me create a public static base entity, or we can say, yeah, base entity will work here, or we can say t, and we can ask for public static t get or create empty instance. So this empty instance will basically work as this basically, this particular empty instance we will use to get the table name methods and all those. Okay, so we are using T, so we will need to mark this as T, or we basically just mark on this particular method. And we can create an object with reflection. We have activator dot create instance of type T. Nice, and we can return it obj, right? So to make it a little more optimized, we can cache this particular empty instance for a particular type. So to do that, I am using just private read only, private static and read only. We can say dictionary key value pair, string will be the key and base type will be the type here. Yeah, we can do that. Nice. So here we have this entities, right? And we can create the key here, where key by using type of T dot full name. So we can use full name, right? And we can check if this dot contains key. If our cache does not contain a key, then we can create a key and put it in this cache. Entities dot add key and then object as the value, and we can mark it as T. Okay, what is happening here? Create instance of using the parameter less constructor. Okay, it's already T. Okay, so we are doing base entity. Okay, we can do that, and from here onwards we can just pass key and we will get the object from the cache as T. Okay, I guess we can put base entities here, right? Or we can directly typecast from here if it is okay. Public string create is okay. What is the problem going on here? Okay, okay. Entity is not null, here. That's great. Then what is the problem here? Key is not null here. Okay, we cannot cast it to base type. Okay, so let me convert it to this, right? Yeah, so we can have this particular base type. So from this we can create our empty implementation. So on the constructor itself we can get where obj is equals to base entity dot create empty instance of type T. Nice. And here we can declare our private string table name, or we can make it read only, and from here we can assign the table name. Table name is equals to obj dot table name. Now we have option, we can replace this with our table name. So simple, it's become a generic one. Now to implement get y id, we must have to know about the primary key column. So go here and create another abstract type, abstract member, and call it primary key or the id key column name. Okay, so from here we will need to implement it, and for this we have the employee number. EMPNO is our primary key column. Okay, so here we can do similar stuff with this. We will do first or default here, and we can put where primary key column, which we can define here. What we have named here, ID key column name. Okay, we can directly use this particular name here also. Okay, this one. So ID key column, from here we will get the ID key column name. So obj dot ID key column name, and we can pass the ID key column this, and we can bind it with a bound parameter ID, and we can pass new ID. For this particular demonstration, we just making assumption like all the primary key column will be numbers. So that is the assumption here. Then we have insert and update statement, and again we have delete. So I am going to implement delete first. So it is very simple, delete from, or we can copy this one because it has already a filter on ID column. So we can do delete from table name where column name is this, and we can do simply execute, and if we are getting row count greater than 0 means we are successful. So that's simple. Then we need to implement two another methods like insert and update. So for every entity the column sequence will be changed, column number will be changed. So we can expose to new abstract properties which will be representing the insert and update statement. So here in the base entity we can again declare abstract member, call it insert SQL template. Similarly we will have a SQL template for update, and how we will implement that is going to happen here. So for now just put it this way, and in the repository we can do this. Yeah, we can do this. We just have to execute our SQL template. So here we will get, yeah, so let me get the detail of those template. Insert SQL template, and then we have update SQL template. We can assign here insert update template equal to opj dot insert update template and update object dot update SQL template. Great. So here we are doing update, so we can call directly update SQL template, and we can directly pass the object because we will write the template such a way like it will map with the property. Similarly we have insert, and that's all. We can use insert SQL template. So this is our repository that has been created, and we have implemented the things here. So one more thing, like the T which we are interested in is basically should be of base type. So we can add a constraint here where T is this, right? And similarly we can put on the this class also. So this is how our constraint is developed, right? So we got our generic repository created. So let me implement the insert statement here. So for this particular table, let me generate the insert statement. Okay, we have this table employee script insert to new SQL editor. Great. So these are ours. So I basically do some thing here. We got this and we can replace this with this just to make more cleaner for our C# code. Okay, so we got this. We can remove this. Okay, let's do it in single line. Okay, so we got our insert statement. We can put in our template, and one thing that we will need to change the column names which is passed as the parameter, because on the C# side we have renamed that column names. So let first make it this cleaner. Okay, we got job, we got mgr, we got hire date, we got our salary column. Okay, and we have commission. Come on, man. Okay, then we have department. So this is our template here for insert. Okay, so this is our final template. We can put it in our insert statement template. So this is our template. One thing that I will see, like we will need to change is, like we have different name here, so it is case sensitive. So empno is going to be empno this way, ename would be this ename. So let me add a line break here, values, and we can just do it here, mp name, then we have job, then we have mgr, hire date is this, salary and commission, and department number. So we have to just put the insert update statements here, so that the generic repository, when it is instantiated by on the runtime, it pick the correct one. So we can do update employees set, we can do set here, ename is equals to ename, then we can do job is equals to job, and mgr is equals to mgr, and then we have hire date. Since we have changed the casing in C#, that's why we are changing it. Sorry, hire date, we just did a mistake here. Hire date is equals to hire date, and salary would be salary. Okay, this commission is commission, so let me line break here only. Commission is commission, and department number is equals to department number. Okay, and good, and where empno is equals to empno, this empno. Great, so this is complete. So here let's try it once. So first I am going to delete this particular DAO. Let me delete it. So I deleted this DAO and my solution will be breaking, so we will fix that. Okay, we got errors. First, we do not have this emp DAO on the service. Okay, so here we will use our DAO. Let me call this generic repository of type emp, Okay, and we replace this. I guess this fixed it. Great. Again, let's build, and here on the dependency injection side we have to change it. So here we can add, okay, type of hygienic repository. We can add this way, I guess, to generic repository. This will map all that interface type with this whenever we are passing the correct type. So let's try to build if our application is working with this. Okay, so I will run this app and I think we should, yeah, we got the results here. If I go to change it, it is Martin. So okay, we got some error. We got error because on the update statement we have some errors. Let me check it. Update SQL template, which is not working correct. Let's debug it first. Refresh it. I was changing the Martin department number to 10. Save changes. The SQL statement is update emp set emp and okay. We need some fixes here. So the statement that I set emp, that is not needed here. So ename, and that will work now. Great. Okay, so we got the data. Let me modify Martin again with the department number 10, commission 400, save changes. Okay, I guess this will work now, right? So we got Martin with department 10 and 400, right? So we need to modify the department also. So to work with generic repository, what will be the change in the department? So this job will be cancelled out, okay, and there will be some changes in this entity. So we will implement this entity here on, we will extend this particular entity with this type and implement all the table name. Table name is this DEPT is table name, DEPT number is our ID, and we need insert and update statement. We can copy it from here, or we already have these statements here. Okay, so this is insert, so we can do it here, and again we have, oh come on, update, simple. So after doing this simple change, we can now delete our department DAO, and this will be handled by our generic repository. Okay, nice. So let's check what is breaking. Okay, one, the service will break. So to do that, we will do generic repository of type department DEPT here, and one thing I guess would be there in dependency injection. Okay, we are doing the dependency here, errors. Okay, let me build it again, this one. Yeah, so we do not need it, just remove it. So again run it again, and come on, so we already working with the emp. Now we change to department. Let's change it. Let me delete this new department. Okay, it's got deleted. Let me add a new one, 500 300, new department. This is IT, location NYC. Nice. So we got an insert. We can modify it to, let's suppose, Delhi. we got update. Now we can delete it also, right? So this is a simple approach we can do with our DAO classes to implement as a generic repository. So let's go through the code again. So we basically created this particular interface which is dependent on a type T, which will have of base entity type. So we need to mark or our, like we have to extend or our entity which is mapping to database table with this particular base entity, and it will have these methods. So here in our example we mapped emp, so we extended it with the base entity. So we will need to provide this four abstract member. First is the table name, second is id column name, the primary key column name, then insert SQL template and update SQL template. Similarly, on the department, we extended it with the base type. We provided these four members: table name, id column name, insert and update SQL template. So this was this. Then on our generic repository, here we are doing the main piece of work with our database. So we created a common DAO to get the SQL connection. If we will be moving to MySQL, we just change this to MySQL connection and that will work. And here we created the instance for the type for which we are asking the generic repository, and it will be a normal type without setting any value. So we get this. So to make a more efficient code, we just cache the instances that are created for any particular type, and after getting that particular type instance, we can get the table name, id column name, SQL and insert and update SQL template. And we just use select asterisk for table name, select asterisk from table where with id column. Similarly, insert, we pass the insert template, SQL template, pass the object, update and delete. So this was the simple thing you can implement in your project. If you people want me to make any repository, this generic repository with the help of entity framework, you can put the comments so I can create a new video for that thing.